Imagine Dan Sullivan sitting across from you at a sleek cafe in Toronto, a notebook open, eyes gleaming with a wild idea. 10x growth isn't harder than 2x, he says. You blink, stuck on the math. Isn't 10 times the work impossible? Yet Dan insists it's about freeing up your time, money, relationships, and purpose, turning what feels like climbing Everest into a glide down a hill. What if the secret to explosive growth was actually a radical kind of simplicity? Most hustle harder, Dan flips the script, grow 10x by thinking differently, not working more. It's a mindset revolution that flips your whole approach to success. Dan tells about a client, Sarah, who was grinding 60 hours a week for a 2x revenue boost, stuck in a hamster wheel. Then she pivoted to 10x by outsourcing and focusing only on her genius zone. Suddenly, profits exploded without more hours. She went skiing in Switzerland, not buried in emails. Think of 10x growth like baking bread. Instead of adding flour endlessly, more work, you change the recipe, yeast multiplies the dough exponentially. Dan explains that multiplying your time's value, not your workload, is the yeast that makes growth rise effortlessly. When Sarah shifted focus to expanding her four freedoms, time to breathe, money to invest, relationships that matter, and purpose that drives, she unlocked an entirely new self-sustaining business. Dan reveals 10x isn't about sweating more, it's about growing free zones that multiply everything else. Here's the secret code: time, money, relationships, and purpose. Dan says doubling anyone is nearly impossible, but 10x all four, that's where the magic stirs. Dan pictures a client named Mike, drowning in emails, meetings, lost in time traps. By ruthlessly protecting his schedule and delegating, his time became 10x more valuable, not longer, better. He started carving out mornings for deep work, turning 2-hour tasks into 20-minute power bursts. Money isn't just cash piling up. Dan tells of a startup that stopped chasing sales volume, focusing instead on high-value clients who needed real solutions. Revenue grew tenfold, but profit margins soared too, showing 10x money means smarter money, not just more money. Relationships aren't a side gig. Dan introduces us to a trio of entrepreneurs who formed a mastermind group combining skills and connections. Their shared success multiplied faster than solo work. It's the ultimate 10x hack, your network pulling you forward at rocket speed. Purpose isn't some fluffy fluff, it's the rocket fuel for tenfold growth. Dan and Hardy hammer why your why must evolve alongside your growth ambitions. Dan shares a story about Anita, who pivoted from chasing deals to connecting deeply with clients on purpose-driven projects. Her business flipped from transactional to transformational. Suddenly, clients sought her out, and growth shot past 2x goals without extra hustle. Imagine a magnet drawing metal shavings, not a broom chasing dust. Dan explains with a vivid metaphor: purpose makes you magnetic, attracting the right opportunities, partners, and resources naturally instead of exhausting yourself chasing everything. Purpose changes form as you grow. Dan warns ambition without evolving purpose leads to burnout. Anita's journey continued by revisiting and recharging her mission every quarter. This constant refinement keeps the 10x engine running strong, sustainable, and stress-free. Remember Dan at that cafe? His point wasn't about doing more, but about doing different. 10x growth frees you by expanding your freedoms, not packing your schedule. So next week, pick one freedom, maybe guard an hour of deep work or say no to a distraction, and watch how your momentum multiplies. Growth isn't a grind, it's a game you can learn to win. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.